Good morning, everybody, and welcome to ESO Daily. I am your host, Mr. Craven. All right, I'm going to do a quick tutorial video explaining indifferent curves today. It's really early in the morning, but very important for me to kind of go over this because we still have players who don't understand what indifferent values are, how do these indifferent values work, so on and so forth. So it kind of gets a little frustrating when you see people ignoring the math and just kind of like, oh, this is the best this and this is the best that, and like no, because we have indifferent curves, and that's kind of important when we're taking a look at things. And they're like, huh? And I'm like, okay, whatever. So indifferent curves, what are they? First off, most of the time when you hear about indifferent curves, you hear most of the time in reference to economics, right? Or graphing. Yo, David, what's up, brother? Most of the time you hear the phrase indifferent curves from economics. It's just the way it is. I studied economics. Yeah, it's early, and I'm here working away. Oh, dang, dude. Well, I hope you have a good day. So it's where you mostly hear it. Now, I did study economics, and I studied financing in college. I didn't finalize college, but I did work with indifferent values quite a bit. Now, basically, it's like this. So I'm going to give you a point of reference, right? The Shadow Mundus. Okay, now I have all divine on. Now the Shadow Mundus increases my critical damage by 13%. Okay, that's kind of a very important thing to remember when we're taking a look at the damage that we're going to do, right? Because we're going to get a 13% increase to that damage type. Now, what I decided to do to illustrate this is put nothing into the CP, right, for now. Why? Because I want to show you the indifferent value, how they work and how it correlates. So there's different points that you get your indifferent values to occur. First off, we have to take our look at our resources, or how we define the build. So that's through gear, race, Mundus, and traits. So these are all, and champion points. So all of these different variables play a very important role in build configurations. The problem of it is most people just slap on gear and pick up a Mundus and then go to town, and then they don't switch out the Mundus, and they don't check out like the trait value based upon that, and then they'll just go flying at it and then compare gear to gear. You can't do that in this game. Why? Because of indifferent curves, right? Okay, so very important rule of thumb. Wherever you find diminishing returns, you will also find indifferent curves or indifferent values. It's always been done in MMOs to offset the loss of diminishing return. Most of the time you can't control it in most MMOs because it's linear, right? So this game we can control a lot of these variables in our build configurations. So what I want to do here is just simply take an ability. I'm going to get rid of poo here. We'll get rid of poo. All right. So once again, we always go with the statics. We always want to, check that out. Crushing weapon will be a good one to take a look at here for now. My bar's kind of all messed up. Actually, let's kind of redo the bar on the back bar. All right. Dual wield. I always like to go with hidden blade just because we're flying daggers for a test. And then I usually go with rapids or whatever. But flying blades will be good. That'll be fine. All right. So it's basically just going to show you the damage of the crit, right? Because we're using the Shadow Mundus. 3-9 base. 6-9, 3-5 crit. Now that 4-2-5 is from the buff from Major Brutality. So 4-2-5-5. It's 6-9-3-5. So 4-2-5-5. Right? 6-9-3-5. Okay, so we're pretty much just showing you guys how it works. 6-9-3-5. Okay. So once we've established that the Shadow Mundus, right, is doing that. Morning, Sylvia. I hope you're doing well. Now, I'm going to take actually a Mundus that has nothing to do with damage to drop off the Mundus to show you what it's doing without it, right? Okay. So now I have no damaging modifier to the Mundus. Anything, I'm getting more health. Now, what you'll see is the base will stay the same, but the crit damage will go down. 4255. Now look, 6382. So the base damage stays the same, right? But the critical damage gone down from 6.9 to 6.3, right? So we can see that. It's evident. It's clear. And I love illustrating these ways just because then it gets more complicated, but you can see it. So now that we've kind of taken that, what I want to do now is show you the indifference, how I can make up for the loss of. Hey, David, morning, what's up? So we've already established that the Shadow's 13% with all divine, right? That's what we're going to obtain with all divine, is 13%. Now, if you're infused with it, it's like 12%. So if 1% difference, but keep in mind, base does make a difference. Nervous about the new job starts today. Well, good luck. I know you're going to do well, Sylvia. Don't be nervous. Okay, so 13%. Now, remember, we were dealing 6.9. Precise strikes is the critical damage modifier, right? It's where we derive the indifferent value from the Shadow Mundus. So what I want to do is take this up to 13%. Right? 13. That is where we're going to make up the loss. Okay. So same thing. 6935. Did you guys see it? Base still 4.2, but now we went back up to 6935. How did we do that? Is it magic, Mystic? No, it's math. It's math. It's just simply math, right? That's all it is. It's math. It's an indifferent curve, and we have it everywhere. We have the indifferent value literally littered through this game because it has to apply to the law of diminishing marginal returns. Anytime you find the law of anytime you deal with percentage math, you are a slave to the law of diminishing marginal return. Being that we can minimize loss and get more out of options due to indifferent values. So indifferent values play hand in hand. They just correlate together. But 99% of the content creators are unaware of these laws in the mathematical application, right? Very, very sad. It's a sad thing, actually, that they're just kind of like just throwing stuff on and then going on a target dummy, and they really don't break down the math. And it's like, okay, so this is best in slot. Woo, math, yes, math, math, math. It's not rocket science. It's just math, right? So what we did was simple. We created an indifferent curve. So I don't need the Shadow Mundus. Why? Because I'm indifferent. I'm indifferent to it. I can make up the value lost. Right? In my CP, I have a different resource to draw from to acquire that damage modifier. All right? Very, very simple for people who understand it. So, anyways, so moving on. Anyways, it's rudimentary, really, to be honest with you. Once you understand this, like I always tell people, I see math in a different aspect. I see math completely, almost in this essence, kind of translucent. You know, I'm just more accustomed to it, so I can see the value margins a lot clearer. So I, know what my penetrating values are. I know what my damage modifiers are. I know the loss of critical damage to the modifiers, and most people are stacking crit because they're fucking dumb. But anyways, so that's what it is. And most people, when they get a damage to match, they're unaware. Why is this doing this? Because of indifferent curves. Okay, so we've established one way of indifferent values, right? Kind of cool, kind of cool. So what I want to do is I'm just going to go ahead And I'm going to clear this again. All right. Now, indifferent value 2 is into the penetration. So we got Spriggans on. Now, I don't want to go ahead and take anything away from this. Yo, Mustang, what's up, David? So what I want to do here is show you guys the penetrating value of 3,450. Now, the weird thing about penetration is it goes up every half. And it's kind of weird because you never get a true indifferent, but close to an indifferent value. So what we want to do is take 3,450. We want to remember that we have no Shadow Mundus modifier. So basically, I'm just going to throw this, and you'll see that 4255 and the 63. Okay, 425563. Okay. Now, I'm going to take off a piece of Jory. All right. I'm just going to take one with recovery off. Kind of important. Oh, that's stamina. That's stamina. God dang it, they're all stamina. Is there anything I can do to actually drop the value without dropping the thing? It's kind of crazy. Because that stamina is going to make a difference in the damage modifier. Oh, I know what I'll do. Never mind. Hold on. We got a better idea. I'll take the Lover Mundus. Easy fix. Easy fix. You can do it with gear. I was wanting to show it with gear, but the stamina will kind of whatever. Okay, so let's go to the Lover. 4,196. Okay. That's our penetrating value with all divine. 4,001. Now, I'm going to go ahead and see what my damage is. Well, we have 4,7 due to major brutality. And we have a critical value. 476 is good anyways. If I can crit. Probably not. Oh, 7-1. So I have a 7-1 crit. 476. 476 is our base. Now, I'm going to do the same thing into the CP points. So we want a 4196 into our CP system. Into our piercing. It's a little over. We'll take it. But we want, I think it was, what, 4196, right? 7-1. Alright, now I'm going to drop that Mundus. I'm going to drop it. We're going to pick up something useless, like health. Four, 7, 6, 1. And 7142, slightly over. But we're almost at a true indifferent value. Oh, nice. That's good to hear. How are you finding it so far? Been gaming on ESO on Xbox. Yeah, she's been on Xbox. I wanted to be on yesterday, except I haven't been feeling so hot. Anyway, so as you guys could see how we did it, we almost got a true indifferent value to occur. We're off by like a few points. Like just barely, like 2 or 3 points. And why? Indifferent values. Indifferent. It's not anything. It's math. It's just math. All right? It's math. And I always tell people, man, I find it friggin' hilarious that we have players who don't understand indifferent values. They're completely like, they're like, this is best in slot. No, it's not. You don't know your fucking math. It's just, you don't know math. You're challenged. It's okay. You're listening to garbage. You're listening to players who don't even understand what indifferent values are to diminishing returns. It's a sad world. I know. I blame education. So, I find it weird that my kids have this long formatted math, and yet they don't understand the relevance of this type of math. And I'm like, oh my God. Almost 50, then CP level grind began. CP level grind's not too bad. The upper ones, they made it a lot easier. So that's kind of cool. Okay, so we went over the reference of indifferent curves, right? Very, very important in this game. It all translates to a lot of things, like race. Race is a big issue. A lot of people are like, oh, go red guard. Go red guard. It's the best. Once again, they fail to realize indifferent curves, because the racial passive from Khajiit will give you a critical value. Like, basically, it's simply like this. I'm a red guard using Daggers of Hunting's Rage, right? Let's switch it up, actually. So let's go with Leviathan. We'll make a couple alterations here. No, that's not going to work anyways. I'll go craft something. I'll go craft some swords really quick. It'll make it kind of give you guys a clear, a defining point here. But I love it. I love when people are like, red guard deals the most damage. Whatever. Well, yeah, without modifiers. Correct. Without modifiers, that's correct. But we can modify everything in this game. Based on race now, we can get not a true indifferent, but a very close indifferent curve to occur, where race becomes almost like, okay, well, I'm getting this stat, so where do I need to make up that stat? It's very important to pay attention to this. It's very, very important. I can't stress it enough, actually. Because I always tell people, I'm like, you did take into consideration the indifferent curve. And they're like, what? And I'm like, the indifferent curve. And they're like, no. And I'm like, so wait a minute. You build a Khajiit exactly like you would build a red guard? Well, this is what build. And I'm like, yeah, but you have to take in consideration that indifferent curve. If you don't make up that value somewhere, you lose. It has to be. The only race you should go is Nord. It's kind of interesting, though. These are like, when I worked in banking, insurance, financing products, like a bunch of, well, just for like 2 main companies. But when I did that, I understood the math, like a lot of fucking math. And like my wife, she works in insurance and financing products too, and she was, it was kind of something that we both had a similar background on, to understand like everything that we did when we did paperwork. She had way more paperwork than I did most of the time. At one time, my wife was my boss, not just in the house. But the funny thing about it is you have to understand indifferent curves and how they work. You really do. Okay. All right. So I'm going to make some swords here. We're going to keep it the same. We're just making swords. All right. So we don't necessarily need, I'll actually, whatever. Hold on. We'll take care of that. All right. So we're going to go over to swords now. Right? Doesn't matter. I don't really care what they look like. I want one Nirnhone. Okay. I want one infused. Okay. And then I'm going to go with one precise. Going to gold them all out. Because my daggers are gold. All right. Radio. All right. Now let's just make sure. I mean, I know I got the weapon glyphs on here. Up. That's the poison damage. Nah, I'm not going to be proccing them, but whatever. All right, and then put my bow back on here. We can keep that there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to teleport back over to the house, and we're going to do a quick test on the daggers. Now, keep in mind, why do I have daggers on a red guard? Why? Because daggers increase critical. Now, I'll show you guys this and how, once again, it may never be truly true indifference, but you can make up difference loss. You have to do that. You have to look towards the indifferent curve to make up differences. It's very important. It's very important. You don't build that's the same that I always tell players. You can't build the classes the same due to passives, due to the numbers. You can't build races the same due to passives, due to the numbers. Though you have to look towards the indifferent value. You have to. If you don't, that's what makes the other one seem more dominant. Right? So we're going to go into our passives, and we're going to go towards dual wield. Now, oh, okay. Let me actually unlock all this. It's another thing I was missing, but it's fine. We still showed the value. Okay. Each dagger is going to increase my weapon critical. Now, luckily I did this prior to race. By 2191. Right? 2191. So when I go ahead and I look at my character sheet, my critical value is 50. I drink my pot. Get my major savagery. I'm at 60.5 crit. Okay, we all see it. 60.5 crit. Right? When I go ahead and use the daggers, we're at 4841 base. Right? Okay, so 4841 base. Can we get a Khajiit to do the same amount given the fact that it doesn't have the max stamina? Can we get almost an indifferent value between the critical and the damage? That becomes the question now, doesn't it, boys and girls? Okay, so once we drink that major savagery potion, 60.5. Okay, so we're going to do a race change really quick. Same tune. Nothing's going to change. Okay, let me find it. All right. Now, we're going to log out, and we're going to change this dude's race. So, race change token, yes. Going Khajiit, yes. We're going to save. Okay. It has been successfully saved. Now we'll go over. Excuse me. Excuse me. Yes. Okay, first thing when we do go race change, everything else is unlocked except the new race's passives. So we'll unlock that. Alright, now we're going to go to the character sheet. Now notice we're at 58.5. Geez, that's a lot. If I drink my potion, we're well over. So remember, that's a bad thing. Too much crit can be a bad thing. No, I shouldn't say. Yeah, it is. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is take that Sword of Huntings with Nirnholm. That's going to be the main hand, right? So then what I want to do is come down here, and I'm at 63. So I'm slightly still over. Now I can go ahead and either decide between the two. But let's go with the precise. I think that would give us the, off of looking at it. No, it's still too high. Okay. Well, is Major Savagery still in effect? We'll wait. I'll wait till the potion wears out. Oh, I could just hit this. It's still a little low. It's a little low. 60.5. It's a little bit low. Precision. We could go with another dagger. It's like 2% under. Question of it is, that's precise dagger. That would be way over. But I can change that. So let's do that really quick. And then we can maybe go with an infused. All right. 50. Looks good. Okay, 1 second. 60. Okay, look at that. Look at that. Look at that. That's pretty good. Okay. Now keep in mind we have one sword, and in Twin Blade and Blunt, we get an extra damage modifier, right? So nothing crazy. I'm just going to head once again with the daggers. But look at this. 47.25. Shut up. Shut up. Base crit to have, you want to stay between 55 and 60. You don't want to exceed 60. If you exceed 60, the diminishing return to your base damage, I'll show you that in a minute. I will show you that, David. Actually, that's a good question. I'll show you how diminishing return affects critical damage. But most people are like, it doesn't exist. They're fucking morons. They have average FQs. It's like, you know, they're dumb. I'm sorry. Like I said, I see numbers in a different, but I've worked with these type of numbers. But anyways, look at that. 4725. And guess what? I'm not a fucking red guard. Oh my fucking god. How did you do it, Mystic? How did you do it? How did you do it? Red guard's the best. No, it's not. It's math. It's fucking math. It's math. And like I said, I see it in a different way. My first goal is to try to get an indifferent value to happen on my critical damage, right? Because it rounds to the whole. The point is irrelevant, right? It has to go to the whole value. I know I need 60. That's my goal. And the red guard had 60.5 with the 2 daggers. But when I go back into Twin Blade and Blunt, this is the passive along with the racial. Now keep in mind, Khajiits don't have max stamina, right? They don't have it. They don't. Morning, Helly. So you would automatically assume that red guards are better. That's not the case. It's not the case. It's not the case. Why? Okay. Right here in Carnage, I gain weapon critical. Red guards don't have critical. They have to make up what? The value lost. Where Khajiits have to make up not having what? Max stamina. They have to make it up. They're like, I don't have max stamina. So how do I increase my damage as a Khajiit? Well, if I was a red guard, I have to look towards daggers, potentially for a critical, right? It makes sense. To people who have brain cells and who can calculate, I don't know. Anyways, Twin Blade and Blunt, I'm getting a 1,095 for having a dagger equipped. And if I was to have another one, I would make up the value. Add with the precise trait. So dagger on top of precise trait would give me the value lost, being a red guard. That's what it did, right? Because I need that critical value. I'm lacking critical value as a red guard. But as a Khajiit, when I put a sword, I gain an additional 2.5 towards my weapon damage. So even though my character sheet, my max stamina didn't go up because I had almost 32,000. The 10-to-1 law, a ratio of the math, added additional 2.5 to weapon damage by percentage. So that's how I was to make up the indifferent value. So once again, it's not rocket science. It's math. It's math. It's fucking math. Oh, you fucking meta dumb fucks who can't count and calculate these things. So, once again, in different curves, this is how they apply, right? Because why? Because we have to apply to the law of diminishing return. Anytime the law of diminishing return is apparent, or you're a slave to the law of diminishing return, in different curves are also associated or apparent. So, there you guys have it. Like, boom, in different values. Okay, they exist. It's part of math. It's the law. They correlate, you know. Just saying. Pay attention. Pay attention. Okay, critical value. Let's go over this really quick. Even though this wasn't the topic, David did bring up a good point. Okay. So we've just established that with major savagery, I have a weapon crit of 60%, right? Seems good. Seems good to me. But here's the deal. Let's take a look at my base damage here. 4725, right? But look at my critical. 788. That's very important here. Look at this. 47, right? 7,088. Okay. Now, I'm going to replace Hunting's Rage. Right? We're going to replace it with Leviathan. Luckily, I had this set because I was going to go over a few things. So, I'm going to replace every Hunting's, and I got to put a heavy head on to maintain that bonus. We're going to replace all of this, right, with... Now, it's not gold, and I can go gold it out. That's fine. I'll do that for the people who want me to do it. And I need a light. All right. Okay. So, now we have Leviathan. All right? Now I can gold it out. That's fine. Actually, you can even calculate it. It's cool. I'm not going to spend all day with it. Okay, once I go up here... and I hit this, I have 75% whip and crit. Excuse me. Okay. I'm fine. I'm fine. This doesn't make me sick. I'm not nauseous by seeing these numbers. No, not at all. Okay. What's bad is you'll notice my stamina and my weapon damage decreased, right? Why? Because I don't have the Nernholm, but we'll go take care of that. So I'm going to get the Nernholm and we'll put it back on and I'll get the precise. We have to leave that one precise. Or no. Whatever. So anyways, we'll make our sword Nernholm. All right. So we got the Nernholm, and I wanted to say this was infused. We'll go with that. Hold on. And I need to switch this out for heavy Belladreth head, and we'll kind of make it a little more legit here. I would never fucking suggest this, by the way, ever. I'm hoping I have enough. Whatever. Okay. Put stamina on it, whatever. That's all it looks. It all looks good. All right. Let me see. Okay. Need transmutation. No. All right. This is really fucking crazy. Okay. So we got that. I think I have a station up here. All right. And I'll get a blacksmithing station and upgrade the weapons. Even though my Mundus is just health right now, whatever. Alright. Alright. Now, what you're going to see is crit percentage doesn't have the diminishing return associated. What has the association to the diminishing return to critical value is the base damage. When base damage goes down, your critical damage also goes down. So, it doesn't exist though, Robert. Morning, what's up, brother? It doesn't exist. It's a myth. It's a fucking myth. It's a fucking myth. Look, I was dealing 427, right? So now I'm down to like 4,000. I'm missing 200. And you also see my critical damage go down from 7-1 to 6. I'll crit more for 1,000 less. Why is that happening, Mystic? Why? Why? Because my critical value is too fucking high. My critical value is way too fucking high. It's way too high. It's way too high. Once you go over 60%, congratulations, you're nerfing base damage. Why is that relevant? Blam! Because it's affecting your critical damage. But I'm critting more. Yeah, you're critting like a fucking moron. So let's say I even want to take it like a step further. And I want to be really dumb, right? Let's just hypothetically say I want to be really stupid right now. And I'm like, I want my critical rating insanely fucking high. I want it so high that it's so stupid. Okay, that's fine. Whatever. So, we'll take it. We're going to take the Thief. And we're going to go ahead and apply our Major Savagery. And we'll take a look at our nice little character sheet. We're almost at 80% crit. Okay. So, let's do this. All right. $4,000. See, it doesn't change. Just my critical chance changes. That's all that changes. Thanks, Mystic. Didn't mean to bring you off topic, but you proved a good point. Right. It looks like shit. Sure, I'm critting fucking like 70-80% of the time. For fucking shit. And guess what also happens? Your fucking monster set doesn't scale, right? So I'm at 10,007 with an 80% chance to crit. 80% chance to crit at 10-7. Okay. And there's morons doing this. They're like, get the Berserker. I'm like, shut the fuck up, you fucking mathematically challenged fucking morons. I'm like, you fucking dips. You fucking dips. Okay, so let's go ahead. And I'm going to browse. I'm going to services. Fucking mathematically challenged. I can't count. Okay, I want to get the warrior. They can't count. Okay. Now, I'm going to lower my crit. Oh my fucking god. Now wait, before I do this, let's go back into my monster set here. 10-7. I'm going to drop the crit to do what? Oh, increase my weapon damage. What's that going to do to my fucking monster set, Mystic? Oh my god. No, absolutely nothing. Oh shit. Okay, that's alright because of the stamina. Alright, right. It can't be, it has to be base stat. Okay, my bad. So that is my fault. See, I make mistakes. But let's go to the critical damage. Alright, so we do is 4,022. Alright. If I can get a base. 4415. There it is. So we've increased the base damage, right? we increase base damage. 4415 is what our base damage is with major brutality. Right? So we've increased our base and our critical damage by getting rid of what? The thief. Because too much crit is fucking bad. It's fucking bad. It's terrible for you. It's terrible. It's terrible for you. It's bad. It's very, very bad. Alright, so now 10-7. I'm wondering. Mundus will never apply. Just checking something out. Oh, it has to be base stat all the way. See, I always like to do that too. Just double check your own shit, boys and girls. Okay, now, hypothetically speaking, now we're using Nernholm, percentage base. Let's get rid of this. Let's go back to the Hundings. Right? Now, to do that, we also need to change this out back to the medium. Some people get obsessed with crit and lose weapon and base damage. Yeah, they always will. You need crit. Crit's good. But if you put in too much crit damage or crit chance, you lose base damage. When you lose base damage, you're losing critical damage. Critical damage is base damage is associated with your critical damage. Okay? So, and if they don't know that, then this is their first MMOs and they're really scrubby. Really fucking scrubby. Because that's been known in MMOs forever, for years. That's been associated with MMOs for like the longest time. So, okay. So, we got rid of that. Hold on. Hundings. And Hundings right here. Okay. So, we got rid of that, right? And now we went back to the modest 58.5, right? Now, I can put a dagger on here, right? And I will show it to you in a minute. So, what we're doing is I have now a 5% chance, a 5 increase to my weapon damage. So, you'll see my weapon damage at 3103, right? It's 3100. And I'm at 58 crit, right? 58.5. So, just say 58. 3100, though. 7245 is my crit damage. Okay, 48 base. 7245 is my critical damage. Right? We're going to lower the base damage and increase the critical. Okay, how? Just putting a dagger on. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to replace my infused sword or my precise sword with an infused dagger. And that should be precise. Actually, it should give me a little bit more. But let's go ahead and make this precise because I do want to show that. I want to illustrate this very, very, very much. Okay. So we're going to get rid of that infused and we're going to stack up even more into our critical, right? Infused, you want to be able to tell. You're not really going to be able to tell whatever in this. But let's take a look at our weapon damage. Shit. Let's go with both daggers. I need the Nernholm one though. Come on. Okay, it should drop it. No, it doesn't. Oh, wait, because it has to be applied to the damage. 5% to the damage is increased. Okay. Anyways, we'll stay with 2 daggers. We'll take a look at our damage, our critical. Okay. 725, though, was what we was dealing. Okay, hold on. All right. $6.9 on because the 5% is added to the damage, not to the tooltip or not character sheet. But anyways, so adding daggers on a Khajiit, we're going to crit more frequently, but we're now at 6.9, not 7.2. Why? Because our base damage dropped. It's because of the swords. The sword adds 5% to my damage, right? I have the same sets. The only thing I switched out was daggers for swords. That's all I did. That's all I did. So I have a precise, I have a whatever. I could even go infused on that. So let's go ahead and let's even switch it back, right? So I'm going to switch that back to infused. The same setup as the swords. We're going to drop it down even a little bit more. It won't work. It won't matter anyways because of the proc. Okay. All right. So we're going to go infused on this. We're going to make them exactly the same as the sword. All right. Nothing's going to change the base damage. It's just increasing critical chance. And that is relevant. It is relevant. Critical chance is relevant. I'm not saying it isn't. 6907. 6907. 4605 base. All right. But I'm a Khajiit. I don't need that much friggin' crit. It's ludicrous to take too much crit. So, once again, main hand sword. Infused. Right. Now, go in. 483 base. Right? Our base, 7245. We're dealing more damage critically. And now, yeah, that's scaled because the damage applied. And then, of course, our critical is at 55. You see that? 55. 55 exactly. With major savagery. And guess what happened? 7245. Now, 60% is kind of like, well, I said 50, between 55 to 60. The closer you get to 60, it's really good because you'll get that extra 2 to 3% towards your critical chance. It is relevant, right? To lose a little bit maybe on the base to increase your critical procs. But once you go up to like past 60, your base damage starts tumbling down. The more your base damage tumbles down, all of a sudden, there goes your critical output. Your critical output's going to go, whoopsie. You're going to crit more frequently, but your crit damage goes down a toilet. So that's what we always say. It's been on the forums forever. Don't go past 60. It's the point where diminishing returns become significant. And now they're putting sets on and getting like 74 fucking crit. It's like crit is a bad thing too. Have you ever heard the saying you can have too much of a good thing and then it becomes bad? Right? You can have too much of a good thing. That's where you need to look at critical values. Morning, Calvin. I hope you're doing well, brother. That's how you need to take a look at critical value. Crit is good, but too much is bad. Too much is bad. Why? Because it derives from base damage. Base damage is a modifier towards what? Critical damage output. Right? The only rule, well, it's not even a rule. When you take a look at mechanical acuity, you're guaranteed to crit from the set, right? So you're at max crit potential. You don't want to take another crit set on top of that set. You want to take a base set. Why? Because the base damage would increase what? Your critical output. So when you're guaranteed that 5-second interval towards critical damage, you really want to push it up. You really want to like push out a shitload of damage. And you don't want to raise up the modifier too much on precise strikes because you're not critting frequently for the drop time. So everything goes to base. Everything would go to base for a setup like that. But they didn't do that because they didn't know math. Hello. Hello. They're idiots. They kind of have. They're young. I wouldn't say they're idiots. They're just young. They're still learning. Because the funny thing about it is, it's the same rules apply. It's just, that's why I was like, it's okay. Mechanical acuity's okay. I know, like, I wouldn't take it. I was losing DPS, and everybody's like, how? And I'm like, 10-second downtime? No, I'm good. And they're like, well, they're doing all this damage. I'm like, yeah, they're getting indifferent values to occur. Well, they're saying crit's not associated with, I'm like, because they're fucking idiots. So what ideal dual weapons would you say is good to use for Khajiit? If you use Khajiit, you want to go with swords. You might want one dagger or one precise sword. So 2 swords, 1 Nirnhone, 1 precise. And you'll get up to about 58, 60, depending on your setup. I missed the last few minutes, and I'm speaking in broad strokes. For a Khajiit Nightblade, I need to build towards weapon damage and stam. And for Imperial Nightblade, more towards crit and weapon damage. Right. You got the right premise, Todd. Right. Exactly. Each race is going... You have indifferent values. So there's typically... the races between Khajiit and Redguard. People always say Redguard's better than Khajiit. No, it's not. There's indifferent values. Okay, it's just that simple. I just demonstrated an indifferent value and got the same damage that I got on a fucking Redguard with the Khajiit. How? Math! Math and more math. I can't fucking stress it enough. Math. I didn't fluke it. I just knew the math. Okay, it's just that simple. There are different curves. It applies. It's mathematical law. If there are diminishing returns, you will have indifferent curves. You cannot escape it. You cannot escape it. They're associated, right? They are truly associated. And the devs are smart. They know their math. They're paid to know it. And content creators who are stacking 74, 80% fucking crit are fucking dumb fucks. They don't understand the math. They say they know math, but really they fucking don't. They have no clue. If they had known math, they would have never stacked CP in the beginning, which they did. They would have never called Gear Bis, which they did. Yeah, just getting to work, so able to listen now. Nice. So that's the funny thing is, most people are like, you're spreading false information. And I'm like, hey, you know, I'm not saying I'm not wrong from time to time. Okay, we all can be wrong. But when it comes to these type of things, I did MMOs for 21 years, which this type of math's always been associated with MMOs. 2H and bow on both. Okay, if that's how you have it set up. Just keep in mind, 2H doesn't have a dagger. So you won't get that critical value unless you have a precise trait. So just a heads up. But the sword bonus will apply. So I'm not saying I'm not wrong from time to time, but I'll tell you what, I've proven them wrong time and time again, because they didn't know the math. And I'm sorry, I worked with these numbers for a living at one time. That's what I did. That's what I did. I worked in these numbers. So I'm really good at it. And if you try to tell me my math's off, well, okay, well, how'd you extrapolate, you know, your numbers? And then let me go in on it, and let me see if I can do it a little better. Let's see if we can. So, just saying. So, anyways, pretty much just said and done. And like I said, I never say my builds are better. I don't trash people's builds. I just trash like players' knowledge. They don't know. They don't, and it's evident when you watch them and you ask them what's the indifferent value to this build. They'll have no fucking clue in which direction to tell you anything. They'll have no fucking clue. And I'm just saying, some people are a little bit more proficient at things than others. I'm proficient at this type of math. And unfortunately, though, if you put me under an automobile, I wouldn't know what the fuck I'm looking at, and you wouldn't want to put an automobile in my hand as a mechanic. I would never be able to know how to fix anything. I'd probably destroy your poor car. So that's all I'm saying, man. There are people who are more proficient at things than others. And I always tell people, man, you know, that's the best thing about life. You're probably good at something. I have no clue what I would be doing. I'd be completely lost. But when it comes to this type of stuff, I know my shit. Now, when it comes to these type of numbers, I know my shit. I like high weapon damage and like 40% crit. Yeah, I mean, and some people like that because you know that you're losing critical output, but you've increased your base damage. I like to stay between the recommended, and it has been recommended because I've done the number crunch myself too. And usually between 55 to 60 is that sweet spot. And it, you know, it makes up that nice value, right? Because now I can go ahead and like, oh, look, you know, my values look so good and I can scale everything up to this point. So we have, if people ask you, what are indifferent curves? And this is like Redguard's better. No. Or this set's better. No, you just don't know the numbers. All right, they don't know math. Okay, there's no best in slot because of what? Indifferent curves. The way the game's designed. There is no fucking race that's better. Why? Indifferent fucking curves. So ideally you can make up the loss, right? You can. And if you stack too much in one area, you will suffer for it. And once again, it's just checks and balances. That's all it is, guys. So anyways, I'm going to let you guys go. I hope this helps. I hope this demonstrates. Now, I did get, at one time I was very frantic as a younger person. I used to have graphs because I love spreadsheets. Okay, so I do have a business background and I love spreadsheets. I used to use Excel with my MMOs. I don't do that anymore. But you can get very complicated. But if you get it, here's what I'm saying. If you are very OCD like that, you can actually graph everything too. And what you do is when you graph and you chart everything, you can find points of reference, basically to find the true indifference on the chart. So it'll lay it out for you, literally. So if you plug in the numbers with Excel. If you know how to work Excel and you know how to plug in the numbers correctly, the calculation will point out the indifferent values. So just a heads up, just a sound piece of advice. This way you can kind of skip some of the more complicated math, but if you want, you can also even manually calculate everything too. It's just a little bit more time consuming. So there it is. You know, if anybody has any questions or comments though, just post below. Once again, thank everybody. I want to thank all of you. And I hope that my misleading information doesn't, thank you, Calvin. I hope my misleading information doesn't screw with people, but yet, how could it? I just got a Khajiit to deal as much damage as a red guard. That's fucking strange. Wow. All right, guys. There it is. I'm Mr. Craven, this is ESO Daily, and as always, thank you. Have a nice day.